Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony, and last we left off, our sister was ruining a very sweet moment between brothers. So without further ado, let's hop into this. Alright, back in we go. Unfortunately, your scolding couldn't put the words back in her mouth. A sound entirely different from the dainty taunt of your sister came from the side. Your sister and you glanced over to the intimate scene of brotherly love, only to find the group of them staring back at you. The three men expressed a gradient of embarrassment, Nico being the least fussed and George the most. Derek was in the middle of the scale, too amused and uplifted to feel that ashamed. But each came to the exact same conclusion about it. One more apology was needed after all. Sorry. I totally forgot you two were there. Oops. Sorry again, it's my fault. I pushed Nico to talk at a bad time. We shouldn't have aired out in front of you. I would say not. She leered forward, and the floral bracelet she wore jangled on her wrist from the dramatic way she placed her hand against her hip. You know, I'm very upset when you spoke about Derek being enough for everybody. I could hardly stay out of it. No offense, but George is my favorite of the Suarez trio. Liz was known for a subtle touch. She was on the nose with all her thoughts and opinions. That kind of directness could only lead to one thing, George blushing again. Liz, you don't have. A large hand landed square on George's head and started him into stopping. It was Derek. He winked admiringly. Hey, she's allowed to speak her mind after we did, and it's a solid choice. Agreed. That's a sensible lady with good taste. George smiled sheepishly. Thanks, both of my brothers are my favorite. Me too.
Right.
Same. Responses flowed in one another, the other in perfect order, like dominoes, lined up exactly so. All these four are my favorite. Derek's my favorite. George's my favorite too. This is my favorite. I could never pick one. Derek.
Really?
Really? Yeah, another smart call. Derek is the best. Not even joking when I say that is the answer that makes the most sense. Well, yeah. Glancing between the faces, each noting the individual familiarity in their features, you thought getting to spend this trip with those brothers was something that you'd always be thankful for. When Derek's laugh filled the air, it rang differently than before, playing a new song. Man, if I was younger, this would be the point where I jumped right into the pool. Clothes be damned. Luckily, I'm enough of an adult to remember I've got an expensive fund in my pocket, not to mention my wallet. You call it... You can still do it. Put this down first. What if you left your phone and stuff on land? You could do it. I'm still jumping in the pool. I gotta put my stuff down. I kind of wanted to. I was going to leave my phone and stuff in the back. Disaster avoided. I'm still jumping in the pool. Just gotta put my stuff down. Go in. That solution was all the youngest Suarez needed to literally jump in chance for more trouble. Nicholas's eyes glittered like a sun-drenched water tempting him. Yeah, I want to go in the pool. Far less enthusiastically, George joined the impromptu swimming plan. That doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, the nonchalant way he shrugged over it seemed even more daring than Nicholas' open exaggeration. Exhilaration. Let's do it. Before the third brother weighed in, Nicholas started pulling out his phone, the original match that lit the slow-burning fuse so much earlier in the day. Though you were faster, your things were already sitting aside the table. That was it for Derek Suarez. His little brothers might have been able to party harder than he could, but he didn't intend to be left far behind. It wasn't so old after all.
See how
it's on. 4 phones, as well as wallets, keys, coins, old receipt wrappers, a few stray puzzle pieces were fished out and piled up for safekeeping. Your sister's belongings stayed within the warmth of her romper. She wasn't once again incredibly a observer rather than a participant. This episode clearly entertained her more, though. Well, as the actual oldest sibling here, I'll supervise from up here. Thanks, Liz. A teasing chorus cheered. Yeah, sister. Our lives are in your hands. Then you were off alongside Derek, George, and Nicholas. You dashed in a row straight towards the edge and flew into the air without hesitation. 1, 2, 3, 4. The brothers and you crashed through the water, disappearing into an explosion of white bubbles. A shiver went through your body. Hit with such a sudden shock of cold, your heavy clothing fought against you as you rose, but you broke through the surface again. Seconds later, 3 brunette heads, smiling faces popped out around you. Every Schwartz brother celebrated with reckless abandon. Woo! Awesome! Yeah! Liz applauded her show from outside the splash zone. It was a wise choice, not only because of the obvious crossfire from the jump, but because Nicholas immediately started flinging water skyward. The offense wasn't taken floating down. The old water war was waged in another age. Smacking and splashing defensively, offensive moves, and general merriment making occurred in the depths of that summer day. When the truce was finally called, part of the peace talks including drying off before going home, and so you and the brothers climbed out of the pool. George gratefully took a seat once more. After so much excitement, a metal pool chair was a welcoming friend. You and Liz lounged by him. Even Derek and Nicholas gave the chairs a chance. Your merry gang of 5 whiled away the best afternoon together. The lives you were leading were so different that there was never an end of new things to tell and hear. But eventually, it was unanimously agreed that it was time to bring the party back to the Suarez home. Kids ought to visit with their poor old parents, as Liz put it. The second pool, that was technically their first pool, was left behind. After a short drive. You made it back. It was nearly evening by then.
So?
Hey, welcome home. Did you enjoy the pool? She moved out of the way and let you all slide in. Derek hesitated before bringing up the rear. It was hard to ignore that he was shyly scratching his cheek and keeping his head down now that you were inside. It was a great time at the pool. Exactly, the pool was so good, and that's the truth. Miss Suarez's affectionate gaze trailed off after 3 boys, then settled on you. She knowingly winked. I'm so glad to hear that. Miss Suarez gleefully made his way when he realized your group was back. His eyebrows arched as you could feel the mischief coming. I told Mom you may not return as dry as you had left.
True.
He did say that. You were so embarrassed. Darn, we've been found out. You laughed with him. I'm still a kid. You shrugged nonchalantly. Darn, we've been found out. Snapping your fingers, you tried to look disappointed. Your delivery had the Suarez family laughing. The next few hours passed at a more leisurely pace. Together the progress was made on a 1,000-piece puzzle. At one point, Derek plucked one of the pieces from the I have no idea where this goes pile and tossed it to Nicholas to catch his attention. Without taking his eyes off the puzzle, Derek wondered out loud if he could take the switch over to his place for the night. He had played it as if it was no big deal, in hopes that Nico would feel less pressured. Nicholas let out a deep sigh, but got up anyway. Just as Derek always struggled to say no to him, Nicholas equally couldn't deny his big brother's request. He returned a few minutes later, holding up the console with a tangled power cord, a couple controllers piled on top. I'm guessing you wanted 2 controllers? That was exactly right. He knew Derek wasn't getting it for himself alone, but it was in order to experience it with you. Looks like Derek never needed to buy an extra controller himself.
Aww.
Wow, thanks. Nicholas' gaze narrowed as he pulled everything close to his chest. But before I hand this over, could we play a few rounds with the family? His eyes went wide as in pleading. Instead of answering, Derek turned to you and his head tilted as he silently asked your opinion. You nodded.
What do you think?
We'd be staying here a while longer then. That's fine with me. Cool. He shifted back to his little brother, game face on. Hope you're ready to lose, Nico. That's cute. Don't prepare your victory speech just yet, bro. George, you're in too.
Come on.
That's not a choice. It's not a choice. The tiny piece of cardboard in George's hand dropped to the kitchen counter, and the unexpected enlistment, he blinked, but then smiled. Fine. Yeah. The Suarez family gathered around the TV, and the brothers got console set up. The new battle sparked between the Suarez boys, and you and Liz decided to give your mom a quick call. They were tickled to find out what happened with Liz's surprise trip. Between the 4 of you, it was decided Liz would go down to Sunset Bird to see them in person soon, and that you would stay in the city. Your trip was with the Suarez family, and their visit was later. The summer that would center around your mom's completely. After that call ended, you placed your phone back in your pocket, and you had a new thought. Huh.
What?
What is this about? When are you leaving? You know you're here now, but you never told me for how long. Oh, I'm out of here tomorrow. Technically, this is a very short trip. I said technically because my flight is 11:59 p.m. Can you believe it? Sheesh, talk about a major inconvenience, but beggars can't be choosers. Derek. The brothers were absorbed by the game land when Liz nearly shouted that last part over his shoulders. It was loud and pointed enough. There was no way they could miss hearing teasing. Derek watched you pain siblings over his shoulder. Cocky grin fell into a frown. Yeah, that's true. You're leaving tomorrow. Both of you are. Derek tried to muster up another smile, but it was weak in comparison. He seemed smaller, all of a sudden, squished at the center of the couch, and his brother on each side. Then he shrugged.
This sucks.
Things were starting to feel normal having you here, just in time for you to not be here anymore. Nicholas's chin lifted at his brother's crestfallen tone. His gaze bounced back and forth between you and Derek, but you found his expression to be difficult to read. George, meanwhile, gave his big brother an understanding pat on the back. When he caught your attention, he nodded encouragingly. Without a doubt, you knew that you could rely on his family to be there to support him alongside you and to bring him cheer during the days you were gone. You were thankful for them.
Sorry.
Well, I hit a nerve, sorry. Nah, let's forget about it. It's tomorrow. It's not tomorrow yet. You agreed. You felt a bit down. Worried about Derek ignoring his own feelings. You were encouraged. You weren't sure how to feel. You were encouraged. Everyone was still here, and there was plenty of time to make this trip even better. Nicholas lifted his chin and flashed his sibling a determined grin. He cracked his knuckles. Okay, that's enough for the seriousness. Let's race.
Let's race.
Yes, let's race. All right. Liz's brows raised as she watched the bizarre exchange. You slapped your fingers over your mouth to muffle your laughter at first, but couldn't leave your sister hanging, so you gently got her attention by pushing her arm. They're still talking about video games, a car game. Oh, that makes sense. She combed some stray strands of hair behind her ear and watched the chaos commence. Well, there's no reason we should sit out now. Our jobs are done. The family, you and Liz included, ended up cramped shoulders to shoulder on the couch. Liz announced her intentions of beating the brothers in a game she never played. Her enthusiasm for the gold was as powerful as ever. You hoped the condo would survive the competition. I wanted to play too. I prefer to watch racing games. I don't play them. Seeing the battle unfold was probably your favorite part, so you relaxed into the back of the couch cushion, got cozy. You had a wonderful, clear view of the TV. Since there were only so many controllers, it was decided that everyone would take turns, starting from the youngest to oldest. Nicholas faked humility as he accepted his position as first. The race began, and the room bounced with wild cheers, shouts. Even Miss Suarez jumped in line for a race. She was a welcome addition to the event. Mr. Suarez, on the other hand, had a history of gaming offenses. He was watched like a hawk by the other participants to make sure he didn't pull any funny business. But it was no avail. Just before the top three were decided, the race was intensely neck and neck. Mr. Suarez managed to bump George from behind with his foot and destabilize his son's driving. Not one person actually saw him do it, the heat of the moment, but there was no debate on who the kicker was, no matter how much Mr. Suarez pleaded his innocence. Fact is, his insistence was threatened with laughter, didn't help his case. The rest of the rounds went off with less cheating, though weren't any less memorable. Eventually enough, the day passed, and Liz rose to her feet. It's getting late. My ride back to Sunset Birds should be coming soon. I'm going to give my legs a chance to stretch and wait outside. She flashed you a weak smile and then double-checked that she had all of her things together. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody. Before she could make her exit, Derek sprung up as well.
Okay.
Wait, Ari and I should get going, too. You don't have to leave by yourself. What a gentleman. At that, Nicholas and George finally stopped what they were doing and turned to their big brother. Both of them were identical frowns. Derek glanced away from Liz and towards the growing audience. Sorry, we'll see you again tomorrow. He sheepishly scratched the back of his neck while his brother continued to stare pitiably.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't you come back over to my place for a change? Mom and Dad are welcome, obviously. You too, Liz. Let's do it tomorrow. That idea was met by surprise, but the room shifted. Possibly getting to Derek's place was more unanimously agreed on than even Mr. Suarez being a big cheater. The new plan made, the group said goodbye. For now, you and Derek accompanied Liz out. Though halfway, Derek paused and remembered to barrel back inside. Almost forgot to take the console home with him again. Perfect timing or not, Derek wasn't letting it slip through his fingers. His return in record time, as if he'd joined an actual race together. You'd hung outside with Liz until she was safely on her way home. It was still mind-blowing that you didn't have to center your life around a bus or a shuttle schedule anymore. By the time Liz's ride was out of sight, the sun was hanging low in the sky. It would be dark soon. Hope Derek's car had flopped into the front seat. You were ready to set off down for the day. Derek carefully stored the console cords and 2 controllers in the back seat before taking his spot behind the wheel. As soon as Derek pulled the door shut, he slapped his fingers on the steering wheel. Ooh, I've been waiting forever to try that new game.
You know it.
Well, it's not that new. It's already a few years old, but you know what I mean. You're adorable. Weren't we just playing games? You matched his eagerness. You gave him a thumbs up. It shouldn't be too bad. You're adorable. There was no stopping your tiny smile. It's so cute when you're excited you light up. Huh? He hung onto the steering wheel for dear life.
I see how it is.
Alright, I'll take your word for it. From where I'm sitting, there's definitely someone cuter. Derek eagerly turned the key and the engine roared to life. Within seconds, you were cruising down the road again. I'm really glad you and your brothers got to open up too much. Thanks for helping Liz come see me. Let Derek make conversation. Let's the opening up. You caught Derek off guard with that. His eyes widened before his whole expression softened. Me too. It was a good reminder. Just because we know that we love each other doesn't mean we can't take it for granted, you know? You'll never know what's going on unless you try to see it. Yeah, it takes effort to keep a relationship alive. The rest of the ride passed by in comfortable silence, and soon enough you were standing at his apartment door. Derek pushed it open and motioned for you to go in. Smirking, you decided not to count this as a win for Derek. Since he was the only one with a key, how else were you supposed to get inside? Carrying the console and its various wires under his arms, Derek trailed behind you, casually gestured towards the living room.
I gotcha.
Take it easy and relax. I'll get this bad boy set up. You appreciated the gesture. No, how can I help? Or you could relax and I could set it up. We're going to appreciate it. Let him be a gentleman. Take your shoes off and flop down on the couch. Derek chuckled as he sat cross-legged on the floor and began to untangle the cords. I don't know how they do it. These were tangle-free getting into the car. I swear they were getting out. How did this happen? Maybe they got nervous visiting a new house. You could say, tied into knots. Derek stopped what he was doing, his nose wrinkles, and then let out a loud laugh. You might be right about that. Once the console was all ready, Derek declared something was missing. Luckily, it was none of the cords. That was covered. I'm going to put my pajamas on. We can have a late-night game session in regular clothes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll change too. Awesome. Let's regroup in 5. With the deadline set, you both scrambled down the hall into your own rooms. A few minutes later, you turned about the same spot where you'd come, but clad in much cozier outfits.
Nice work.
Oh, look at his pajamas. Look at them. They're so cute. I love the blue. It's such a good match for him. And look at the pajama bottoms. Ugh. I'm sorry. That's going to be a record. Now we're set. Derek retrieved the game you got at the mall, and the case had been waiting patiently on the coffee table for quite a while. There's versus and team modes with this racer. What are you in the mood for? I always want to work together. Think we should switch between modes and start on a team together. I think we should switch. I like to be a team. We're a good team. Derek flipped over the game case and read the back again. You notice the tips of his ears are shade redder than usual. Yeah, we are. He threw up a high five that Derek enthusiastically met with a loud slap. He picked up the controller and shot you a wink. Derek put in the game and hovered by the console until he was satisfied things were booting up correctly. He then relocated to the couch across from the TV and plopped down on the center. You climb the other couch, you up to sit on the floor, sit on the same couch, dive bomb next to him. As close as we can. The motion tilted him slightly on the cushion. Your dramatic arrival sent him into a fit of laughter. Derek's cheeks were flushed as he wiped a tear from the corner of his eyes. Hi, Ari. Hey. You were close enough that your legs brushed against his while you got comfortable. Even after putting a few inches between you, both your shoulders occasionally bumped. Derek's welcoming smile brought a warmth to you. Or maybe it was your hyper-awareness of his body heat radiating through your side. Either way, it was getting hotter. And on that note, your digital adventure began. Hours rapidly went by from there. You handled the game with ease. You were getting by just fine. You weren't exactly a credit to the team. Handled it with ease. It was a team effort, but still you were breezing through this game. There wasn't a challenge that you couldn't easily solve on your own, and it wasn't just you that felt that way. Every time you caught Derek's attention, you flashed you a self-satisfied grin. At this point, you were competing over precision. Your throat was sore from high of making each other laugh and from lows of shouting out frustration at the TV. The game was still in full swing when suddenly Derek spoke up, not for further commentary on your digital moves, but real-life consideration. Did you want any snacks? Out of habit, you glanced in his direction. He had his sights locked on the TV screen, even still. I can't keep putting my stomach off. Could you hold down the fort while I'm gone? Before you could even answer, Derek was already out of his seat and dashing towards the kitchen. I'm on it.
It's no problem.
I can bring something for you too. Have whatever you're having. Can I have the snack that I picked out earlier at the store? You messed up the progress he made in the game. I don't need snacks, thanks. We'll eat what he's eating. Cool, I'll grab enough for both of us. From the repeated clatter of cupboard doors, you knew he was checking every cabinet for the best treats. Your stomach began to rumble in anticipation. Derek returned and his arms were filled with all kinds of goodies. He'd picked up on your grocery trip and a couple you hadn't seen before. They must have been tucked away for a special occasion before you arrived. He carefully placed 2 water bottles down and then dumped the rest onto the coffee table.
All right.
Behold! Derek flopped back down on the couch and did a double take at the table. You'd already managed to swipe a handful of things. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. You remember to hit subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what happens next, and I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.